Hey everyone, today I want to make a quick video, a quick view at some article that I came across. An article from Ars Technica that says, rumor has it that Pixel 5 is slower than the Pixel 4 and it has the same camera as the Pixel 2. Now of course it's a bit of a sensational headline, but it's Ars Technica and they go into a lot of detail about the rumors that they've seen. And I came across this of course from my friend circle who's also tech enthusiasts like myself. I haven't talked about mobile technology on my blog or via video yet, but this kind of piqued my interest because this is kind of right in my alleyway. The gears started clicking for me as soon as I saw that, because I knew the kind of hot takes that people are going to have about it. On one side, you're going to have the tech enthusiasts who are going to be very, very disappointed about this because they expect certain levels of hardware, and then there are contrarians like myself who don't think that this is such a bad thing. Now, one of the first things that came up in my group discussion with friends was that Google doesn't seem to be following its own rules. On the one hand, we had the Nexus line, which was in the early 2010s. It started off as a developer focused device. It wasn't very upmarket, but then they stopped making those and they started making the Pixel lineup, which was more upmarket, so to speak. But now they're trying to reverse that itself again. They're trying to go back to maybe a developer focus perhaps, or it's just a showcase for the ideal Android experience, how it should be. The main talking points of course are the processor and the image sensor. In this article they've talked about with ample amount of bar graphs to show that the benchmarks say that this is this much percentage slower than the top of the line processor, and the camera hardware has been kept the same since 2016, but we are wanting to see how Google's going to pull a rabbit out of the hat again. Are they going to do something with the software, and so on and so on. Now, to explain this counterpoint, Engadget has made a great video about this. They talk about the Snapdragon 700 series and the 5G technology and 8 gigabytes of RAM, which to me is insane. Thinking that certain tech enthusiasts think that's not enough for a flagship. I honestly don't understand that, but I come from, since 2011 I've had the first phone that I had, the LG Optimus 2X or T-Mobile G2X in the United States, where it was the first dual core processor phone, and I had it for a while. I rooted it and did all kinds of stuff, but I digress. The point I'm trying to make here is that there's two distinct philosophies here that emerge, and I like to explain it best with kind of a racing game analogy. When I was a kid, there were different racing games that used to come out, and they used to have these categories of cars, right? One was muscle cars, and second was the tuners. Now, muscle cars, as a kid, I loved muscle cars, all the Pontiac GTOs and Ford Mustangs and the like, where the approach was a horsepower first approach. Just put the biggest engine in there, and that's about it. That's all you need, just pure brute force horsepowering your way through to victory. On the other hand, there were tuners, which were kind of these Asian manufactured vehicles, and the thing about the tuners was that you're supposed to take a regular vehicle or a sports variant of a vehicle and tune each and every aspect of it in such a way that you can eke out the maximum amount of performance from it. So there were hardware changes that people used to make, and they used to change all kinds of stuff like remove the seats to reduce as much weight as you can and stuff. Mainly what they used to do was the electronic control unit, the ECU of the car. You tune that with different profiles and you mess around with the software and you get as much power output as you can. So you're fine tuning this car that you have, a regular car, maybe a sports car, whatever car it is, but you're tuning it to get the maximum performance out of it. And that's what I'm seeing the philosophy difference here. Tech enthusiasts always want, and the patron saint of all the tech enthusiasts, Marcus Brownlee, is always talking about, this is my dream phone for so and so year. I want this amount of RAM and this amount of memory, and I want this processor, and it should have all these different features. And it's just the same kind of a muscle car brute force approach I'm seeing there. Whereas Google is trying to go for this tuner approach, the same camera sensor they've used since 2016 as per Ars Technica article here, and they've just kept iterating on the software. They're keeping up, slow, kind of lagging behind, but still matching up to a great extent with a lot of these people, all of these other camera makers, and even OEMs. Let's just use that word, OEMs out there who are putting 3, 4, 5 camera sensors and time of flight and all these different things that I honestly haven't kept up with these days. But that brings me to my next point, and that's, are tech enthusiasts really the only set of users? There are all different kinds of users. At the end of the day, because we live in a social media bubble kind of a world where you tend to believe that there's a lot more of tech enthusiasts than there really are. Even in the most price sensitive market like India, let's say, where people are really hell-bent on getting as much value as you can get. And even in that, there are still a subset of users who may not be the power users. They may not be the enthusiast level people. They just want a phone to work and get the best overall experience, right? And this philosophy of not using the highest end chipset, it's not the 865 5G 865 plus, it's the 765. I don't get. What's more impressive is if they're able to eke out that much of a great software experience using that processor. Like I said, like the tuner cars, right? If you can eke out the maximum performance from that, I feel like that's a lot more impressive, a lot more laudable than just like stuffing the best into it and then it just becomes another expensive device. Again, dovetailing into my next point here, which is the current economic climate. You're seeing there's mass unemployment, there's a lot of economic instability going on right now, and it's the callous attitude, I feel like, of certain manufacturers. Perhaps it's unfair to say callous maybe, but just the being able, the gall of just selling all the top tier flagships are all $1,000, $1,300 US dollars for the Note 20 Ultra, and then the hype machine is just going on and on as usual. There's these tech pundits, they're doing the unboxings and they'll do the video and 5 different reviews, one for the camera, one for the audio, and all this stuff. It just keeps happening as if there's no upheaval anywhere. They'll just put a couple of bullet points at the end of their review saying, yeah, in this current climate, maybe very few people can actually afford this, but if you're looking for the best of the best, you have to shell out close to $1,500 to buy this stuff. And that it doesn't sit well with me personally. I would rather have something that's much more affordable but still gives you the flagship level experience, right? User experience is not limited to just the hardware, right? You can have the big block Chevy engines like they used to have in like the Camaros in the 60s, but there's other things to it. There's all kinds of those weren't very good. Let's say, keep going with these analogies of the muscle cars. Muscle cars weren't very good at handling. They weren't very good at fuel economy. They were gas guzzlers. And finally, when the fuel crisis hit in 1978, people stopped buying those kinds of muscle cars. No amount of marketing was able to sell them. And people started buying these reliable cars. And then as technology advanced, you have electronic control units and this development of this whole culture, like eking out the maximum amount of performance from your vehicle. Again, initial D, right? You get the 86 that the protagonist drives. It's not the best car, but he wins the races because he knows the track and he's getting maximum performance out of it. It's if the phone, in this case, the piece of technology that we're talking about is suiting your needs and it fits into your workflow like a glove, it is a tool that helps you achieve your goals in life, then what does it matter if it's 765 and not 865? I'd like to know everybody's thoughts on this. Should they have stuck with the same design language? Should they have stuck with the same thought process of one cheap phone and one expensive phone? Should they, someone suggested to me once that they should completely just dissolve hardware and just focus on software entirely. I personally don't agree with that, because I feel like it's Google's responsibility in a way to showcase what their vision of the Android platform is, and I feel like they're doing a job at it. I don't know if it's a good job or a bad job, but there are a lot of good things, and I personally am a lot more enthusiastic about it than I would have been for just another expensive variant of an Android phone. Also, let me know what you think about this off the cuff discussion. I've been watching a lot of talking heads videos, especially one guy called Visakan V on YouTube. I just got a little bit inspired by that, a little bit less scripted, a bit more animated, a bit more relatable. And it's bucking my own trend. I've been doing a lot more staid and scripted things lately. I wanted to just break free from that mold, a bit more off the cuff. Not Shekhar Gupta, but yeah, off the cuff discussion here. Anyway, thanks for watching, and I'll see you next time.